Now we'll move on to tidying your staff admin table data. Before we start, it's important to decide whether you want your staff table to comprise all school staff or just teaching staff. Remember, staff can only log into school data if they exist in this table. If it's the former, and you want this table to house all school staff, ask your IT team to generate a list of all active staff and we'll import it for you. If you only want teaching staff to show up in here, let us know and we can take your most recent timetable file and import the staff from there to get you started. We're going to assume you have read or watched the subject admin tutorial, and so you know what export, merge, and import do and mean. And you know why they're powerful tools when tidying your data. Let's quickly explain what you can see here before diving into a couple of fields in more detail. I'll skip the self-explanatory fields. Teach code must be unique. We'll touch on this again shortly. In the email column, use the staff member's school email address so they can log in with single sign-on. But what about teachers who haven't started yet or are on leave? Add an optional alternate email address so that mail outs reach these staff members. T and N stand for teaching and non-teaching. Say you have a staff intentions form and some sections are only relevant to teaching staff. You can indicate that in the form, and only staff with a T in this column will see that question on their form. Okay, let's have a look at some important fields over here on the right. Firstly, we'll begin with the admin permission field. Standard roles such as teacher, staff, and student are self-explanatory. But what about elevated permissions? COR stands for coordinator. For instance, if you want your head of science to view and allocate staff to science classes in the planner, they'd need this coordinator status. ERO and LRO are read-only permissions. ERO is executive read-only, granting access to all data but prohibiting editing. LRO, or limited read-only, is similar but restricts access to financial data reports. Finally, TTT and TTN are for teaching and non-teaching timetablers respectively, allowing these users full access to drive the site. Now let's move on to the active and future fields. Active staff members appear in all current class grid and load pages. Future staff members, on the other hand, appear in all planner, class grid and load pages. Inactive staff members might still be in your list, but won't appear unless you press Show All. Leaving them in your list can be handy for referencing past data, such as finding out who taught a specific class in previous years, even if they've left. A quick troubleshooting note. If you're adding a new staff member, remember their code must be unique. We talked about this earlier. If the site flags a duplicate, click Show All to check if a past staff member shares the code. Managing your staff admin table is a vital tool for streamlining processes. It allows you to create test loads and even export this data to your timetable file, reducing manual work for the future. Don't forget, in most instances, the easiest way to manage this data en masse is via the export and merge buttons. Sure, if a new teacher starts, you can easily use the insert or add item button to add them to the table. And that wraps up our tutorial on the staff admin page. With this knowledge, you're well equipped to navigate this important tool and can ensure your school staffing data is as accurate and as useful as possible. As always, feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for more school data tutorials.